Welcome to A Course in Business Miracles. This is Heather Dominic, creator of BusinessMiracles.com and founder and leader of the highly sensitive entrepreneur movement. Join me today for some genuine practical assistance and a business-altering and life-changing experience, a business miracle. This is A Course in Business Miracles, episode number 62, HSE feature with Jill Wade. Welcome to this Business Miracles HSE feature episode. I am just really thrilled to be featuring Jill Wade as a member of the Business Miracles community and as a highly sensitive entrepreneur. Jill, aside from being a valued member of the Business Miracles community, is an award-winning dentist, entrepreneur, author, and speaker. Jill practices dentistry in the heart of Frisco, Texas, which is very important for her to emphasize is also the new home of the Dallas Cowboys International Headquarters. And for the past 25 years, she has enjoyed utilizing her natural, artistic, and creative talents to enhance smiles in her successful high-tech cosmetic and general dentistry practice. She is an international lecturer on dental wellness and laser dentistry. Aside from her professional career, Jill has twin 10-year-old daughters and is founder and CEO of Relevance Health, the Center for Online Dental Wellness Education, and Relevance Total Health, a unique facility that bridges the gap between medicine, dentistry, and genetics. She has been featured on TV, radio, and numerous published articles while co-authoring the book, Address the Stress, the Relevant Guide to Dental Wellness and Hygiene with Heart. Yet, you will want to listen in as I talk with Jill about how she went from unconsciously working from her HSE shadows of being overwhelmed and feeling like a victim to working from her HSE strength of creativity and being able to work in her business from a greater place of empowerment as well as support her team to do the same. It is such an honor to be a part of her HSE journey, and I am so pleased to be sharing this episode with you today. Welcome, Jill. I'm so excited to have you here as part of the Business Miracles podcast and to feature you as a highly sensitive entrepreneur. Welcome.
Thank you, Heather. I'm super excited to be here today. You know, I think the world of you and just can't wait to share this story because you just brought so much light onto my whole life when I first met you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And the feeling is mutual. So you are really just this, powerhouse of a dentist, entrepreneur, author, speaker, advocate for health and wellness. And you are also highly sensitive. So I would love for you to share just a little bit more to bring listeners into the moment when you and I first connected and when you discovered that you were a highly sensitive entrepreneur. Do you remember when that was?
Well, of course I do. I remember meeting you first. I don't exactly remember the year, but I'm going to say about 3 years or so ago, we met the first time at Allie Brown's premier group that you and I both go to, the entrepreneurial group. And she has a great, kind of style where each one of us gets up in the front of the room and kind of shares our story. And, we get to bring something to the group to work on. And when you got up there that day and you began to kind of explain your, I'm going to call it a mission or information about the highly sensitive entrepreneurs, I was thinking, what in the world is this? Like, I've never heard of this before. And I sat there and in awe, my mouth was probably wide open because every time you said something else, I was like, wow, I am just feeling really connected to you and what you're saying. And it was like you were talking to me. And so instantly there was some connection, obviously, with you. And so as soon as we got finished, I ran to my room and, of course, went straight to the website and took the quiz. And I remember coming back the next morning to you and going, "Oh, Heather, I'm a super uber HSE." and
I was like, "Welcome to my world."
Welcome. It was so funny. And yet, even before the answer to the quiz came, as the questions, I was going through the questions, I was like, "Oh yeah. So I knew even before the quiz answers came, I was like, "Oh yeah, this is definitely who I am and who I've been for a long time."
Yeah. And that's what's really, really remarkable is, again, like you have created so much in your career as a dentist and as an entrepreneur. And yet, through our work together, there was this real beautiful shift, into like a whole another realm of your creativity and your capability. So just so that listeners have a context, what Business Miracles mentoring program have you participated in? And, what would you say is the biggest thing that you came away from our mentoring experience with?
So you and I, because of the way we met and everything and where I was in my life and my career with some, not only the dental practice, but some other entrepreneurial projects that I had, I really needed some major help very quickly. And so I actually got into your VIP program and came straight up to New York to do, some one-on-one work with you. And then also some of the training as well, so that I could really dive into it. I needed to dive into things at that particular moment. So, all of those things were helpful. Yeah,
exactly. And so what difference would you say that, the HSE mentoring has really made for you and your business? What changes have you seen?
So the strange thing is that I think the dental practice, I've been practicing for like over 25 years. And, not to toot my own horn, but like, it's very successful dental practice. I'm really good at what I do. And despite the economy over, some really hard times across, the whole country, I was just felt very blessed that the practice had always done well. It always kept going up. It never really went backwards. And I think I was just successful despite myself, if that makes sense, because at the time I had no awareness that I actually was using my highly sensitive skills on a daily basis, which was actually turning me successful. The way I could listen to patients, the way I could communicate with them, my creativity of the actual physical work, my ability to lead my team in a direction with, kind of that whole royal advisor type of, mentality I was doing, but I didn't really know I was using those talents, obviously, until I kind of met you and started to understand, the shadows and the shadows and the strengths. And the strengths. I was definitely in my world of dentistry living very, very comfortably in my strengths. And that's why I think entrepreneurship for me for so many years was not scary and wasn't a problem and felt really good. It wasn't until I probably did another shadowing part of HSE, which was open to many opportunities and entrepreneurial businesses that began to really kind of build up a negative in my world. And that's when you and I kind of started to meet. So just the awareness of all of it has just been so interesting. I mean, to go back and look at what made me successful and then how to make sure that what I'm doing now on is really trying to work within those strengths and not not going into any of the shadow work anymore. So just awareness in general has been a huge part or piece of what I've learned from you.
Absolutely. And I know, as you mentioned a couple of times, that the teachings that I've developed and share around the HSE shadows have really been impactful for you. And I know specifically in regards to your perspective in regards to the business ebb and flow, and also how that HSE shadow of perfectionism would really come in and could take you out at times. Can you speak a little bit more about, what you learned and realized around those particular shadow behaviors for yourself?
You bet. Just kind of like what you said, after you've worked for, 20, 25 years in the same industry, there is a certain ebb and flow. But what really came to a more full consciousness for me was when I practice dentistry, but I also practice a concept called dental wellness, which is really that whole oral systemic health. Some people might call it holistic. I don't necessarily call it holistic because it has a ton of science base to it. And so what I noticed on myself was just this lack of, I'd hit a wall eventually and just be down for a couple of weeks and not be as productive or as positive as I could and should and usually was. So learning these techniques that you've given me really helps decline that ebb and flow, which ultimately makes me more productive, right? Because I've spent years having other like dental consultants and professionals and come and work with the team and work with me. I have other private coaches that work with me from a, dental standpoint. And for years we had learned about that victim triangle that you talked about. I went to one of the,
training retreats.
Yeah. One of your training retreats. And this is pretty early on in our work together. And you drew the drama triangle up on stage. And I was like, oh, I recognize that. I've worked with the drama triangle for years. And so that was very familiar to me. But all of a sudden, when you began to go one step further, you were like, where do you typically feel like you go to? And in general, I don't feel like I'm a victim, but it's always kind of there in the back of your mind. And you drew an upside down triangle, basically, and then pinpointed how to get out of the victim mentality. And the opposite of the victim mentality was creativity. And I was like,
that's
right. Bing, 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 bing. I was like, that is brilliant. Brilliant.
Yes.
Because
and I remember that was a real shift.
Yeah. It was a huge shift for me because if you have the awareness that you're getting that feeling, then how do you get out of it? Well, you gave me the answer. Just go deeper into your creativity side and create a way out of it. And I've used that several times. I mean, I can go into a couple of details or,
I definitely want to hear about that. But for sure, I'll say, just remember that was such a shift for you. And, it was really what I teach as the HSE Shadow Strengths pathway. And that's really what you're speaking to. And I'm so glad that you are speaking to this because there's so many highly sensitives who do feel that sense of being a victim, whether it's really conscious or not. Like you said, sometimes it's kind of just lingering in the back. And that really just comes from the fact that whether, again, we're conscious of it or not, we do recognize that we are different. And so that can really result in a sense of feeling like a victim to the world, almost as if the world is happening to us, right? We can find ourselves feeling or experiencing overwhelm or any of the other aspects of the HSE shadows. And then to be able to shift out of it is the pathway, from the drama of victimhood into empowerment, into our HSE strengths. And so you really took that teaching and you really, really have put it to work for yourself. And it's been a significant shift. So I'd love for you to share just, how shifting into that creativity, that HSE strength of creativity, what are some specific ways that you can really tangibly see that that's worked for you?
Sure. So, I have anywhere at any one time a team of 10 to 13 people working with me. And it is a team approach here at the dental office. And so every once in a while, as the leader, you start to get a little victimized feeling if things aren't going just the way you think they should be. But what you have to remember is over a 20-year period of time, not everybody got taught the same thing at the same time. And although you may think everybody has been trained properly, maybe they haven't been trained by you, heard it the first way like you want it to be done. Maybe they got it second or third hand from somebody. So one of the times I can remember feeling kind of that way, I stopped everything and literally I went to Staples. Staples is my favorite place to go to in the world because for some reason I get real creative inside of Staples or, Office Depot. Don't ask me why.
Love it.
That's my go-to
Love
place.
It.
And
yes.
I sat in there and I get all these creative ideas and I realized that I had to go back to school with my team and we had to create a curriculum and a training, fun, of course, but a new training way to be sure that everybody got back on the same page again directly out of my mouth. So then I put together a 6 weeks kind of crash course in teaching everybody at least the basics and everybody getting to hear it from me again and making sure we were all on the same page. That went over great. Everybody loved it. They loved it so much they actually asked to keep going. And so now every month we have a 2-hour period of time where we train together straight out of my mouth on whatever subject matter they want to learn more about. And so just being creative sometimes just gets you out of that flow or that lack of flow, I guess you would say.
Yeah. So beautiful. And I remember just the deep work that we did around your team and what a shift was created. And, how would you say that things, changed within the practice as a result of putting together that quote unquote, crash course directly from your mouth for the team? What did you see happen, within the day to day of the office and the practice?
Well, I think in general, they just knew more. So they felt more empowered, more confident to, go one step further and go on and have those conversations with the patients rather than waiting on me to come around and have to have those conversations. And then when I came into the room, it was more like I'm just adding a little bit or just saying great job or, y'all are on the right track. Keep going.
That's right.
And, that just turns you from having a practice or a business that is really only run by one person into a business or a practice that's run by 13 people. Well, what do you think? That's more productive. Yeah. More productive.
Absolutely.
And less stress. Who doesn't want less stress? And your clients are happier too.
Yeah. It's really what I've seen. And I saw as a result of all of that, there was, a weight lifted from you and there was literally energy freed up because like you said, instead of it all being on your shoulders, it's now, and a shared empowerment approach amongst the team. And then from that weight and that energy being lifted, what I saw is that you and I were then able to focus on these other projects, and you had this beautiful insight that, you had all of these fantastic projects in motion that were about 80% done, each of them. And when you made that shift with your team, that really supported you in having a tipping point where those 80% of multiple projects were then able to really go across that 100% completion, project line, which was just so wonderful and beautiful to be a part of and to see that for you. Is there one of those particular projects that you've brought, closer to that 100% or across that 100% line that you're super proud of that you'd like to talk about?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So it's so funny because even before I met you, I had designed and built a application, like a platform, a software platform for dental offices, which help lead or empower a team through education and focus and leadership and positive messaging. And one of my shadows kicked in gear as perfectionism, and I stopped the project because it, quote, wasn't perfect enough. And it sat there very quietly for a while. And after working with you, I knew to listen to my intuition and that it wasn't time to do anything with it yet, but that when I knew and heard my intuition tell me what to do with it and where to go next, that I would be clear on that. And after the first part of the year, this year, it became very clear one weekend that it was time to revitalize the app, a progressive practice app, and actually go out to the marketplace and begin looking for a partnering. And in April, I actually took that project to a dental supply company, and we are in communication and negotiations on partnering together to get that out into our profession. And so that's really exciting. It's just very exciting.
Yes, it is. It's amazing. It's amazing. You're literally like creating an application that is going to, just change the approach to health. And it's so fantastic to see it, moving over that 80% done line.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so brilliant.
Well,
so brilliant.
And so funny because you and I have also talked that a lot of people who are drawn to be healers, be it in the medical community, dental community, chiropractors, massage therapists, you name it. I believe that a lot of those people are drawn to those professions because they're HSEs and don't know it. And so it's so crazy to have developed a platform which basically has a lot of, oddly enough, HSE thought process all kind of combined inside of it to help guide these people in a direction of success without creating a lot of stress. And it's just super pumped about the, opportunities that lie ahead to kind of get your message out in kind of a completely different way.
Yeah, so beautiful. And I'm just so thrilled and honored to be a small part of so much of the brilliance that you are creating. So, what would you say that you have found most valuable about, the HSE teachings, as well as just being a part of the Business Miracles community of HSEs, knowing that there is this thing called a highly sensitive entrepreneur and that there's others out there? What's been valuable about that for you?
I think for many years, even prior to the years of being in dentistry, I think I've always realized I was, just a little different, a little bit of a big thinker, never really shied away from a big, concept or project. But when I really got into the dental profession, it even became more clear that I was different. And so to me, realizing what that was truly all about, and now knowing that I'm not alone, I'm not crazy for thinking outside of the box, I'm not crazy for performing and, creating things the way that I do, it's just added a whole nother layer of confidence for me, and just being okay to settle down into my strengths and honestly just being unapologetic about that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so thrilled to hear that, and absolutely #truth to everything that you just said. For sure. So what advice would you have for, other HSEs who maybe are listening in? Maybe, they've also been in business for 25 plus years, such as yourself, or maybe they're just starting out and, they're discovering that they really most likely are a highly sensitive entrepreneur. Based on, your experience, what would you have to say to them?
So I want to say to everybody that if you even think you're an HSE, you just need to soak up as much of any information that Heather puts out there as possible, anything and everything. So whatever that means for them as far as can they financially, get into the programs. If not, listen to the podcast, work your way up to get into any program, anything she has to offer. Because when you begin just to understand it you will begin to create, new things, the way that you're doing things in such a different way that it will be beneficial, that you'll really kind of come into this new realm of living where like you really believe that anything is possible, that there is no ceiling, that you can dream it and then you can do it and really get to living a life that you truly desire. And when we truly, I think, are living the life that we desire, there's really a ton of peace and balance and happiness in that. And I think that's really what all of us are searching for.
Yes, yes. So well said. So well said. And so much of what I've seen, occur for you as well, like just that beautiful grounded sense of peace and happiness, in your work, in your life with your girls. And it's, so beautiful. So I so appreciate you speaking to that. And Jill, where can others find out more about you and the work that you are doing in the world as a highly sensitive entrepreneur?
Sure. So people can find us online at stonebriersmiledesign.com, which is in Frisco, Texas, or they can look up jillwadedds.com.
Beautiful. Awesome. Jill, thank you so much for being here and being willing to share, yourself and your story as a highly sensitive entrepreneur. I know that it is absolutely going to be an inspiration for so many. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Heather, for being an inspiration to all of us.
Oh, thank you so much. All right. Beautiful. Until next time.
Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of A Course in Business Miracles. If you're ready to learn how to use your highly sensitive abilities to support you in being purposeful, profitable, and empowered rather than scattered, poor, and undervalued, take my free self-quiz to find out if you are indeed a highly sensitive entrepreneur. And if you are, along with your quiz results, you'll receive my free HSE Success Guide, which will teach you how to have your highly sensitive abilities working for you to create the results you desire in your business. Take the quiz and receive your free success guide now at www.hsequiz.com.